What's up, guys? We are about 8 to 12 hours away from the launch of Archeage, depending on which region you're in and where you live. So let's talk about gold making methods for the launch, because that's what we're known for in this channel. That's what we like to do. We like to help out people as much as we can. So there's going to be some caveats. Obviously, every server will be different. Some of this information is only going to be viable for the very beginning. So the very first item I want to talk about is something like that. This item will be worth a ton of gold in the very beginning, probably about the first hour of the server going live. So when the server goes live at 10 a.m. your Pacific Standard Time or UTC time, depending on where you live, Lily will actually be worth probably about 1 gold per Lily during that first hour, as people are speeding through, rushing through quests. The reason it's going to be that valuable is because the Lily will get you 1 gold and 50 silver for completing this quest, and also a Gilda Star. So this is a big chunk of money, and Lily, all you need is 1 Lily to turn into the NPC. It's an NPC by the priest statue, so where you die, Nui's love. The temple priestess is going to ask for a Lily. You're going to want to do that because 1 gold and 50 silver is a lot. And I've seen lilies sell for as high, like I said, as like 1 gold. Even I think it was 2 gold on the public test server. Lilies are very easy to grow. They're very easy to find in the wild. That's why the price of this item dramatically decreases as the server progresses. As more lilies come into the world and more people realize, like, hey, I can just simply grow my own lily, they will not buy overpriced lilies for 1 gold. If you can get 50 silver for a lily, great. If you can get 30 silver for a lily, great. Because normally when you harvest 1 lily out in the wild, you'll get 3 lilies per harvest. So that means, if for 1 labor point, you could earn up to 3 gold if you sell each lily for a gold, or, 1 gold if you sell them all for about 33 silver each. That's an incredible amount of labor spent for 1 gold. So find lilies in the very beginning of the server and sell them. Very simple. Don't put if you go around the world and you clear out the entire world of lilies, don't put a stack of 100 for, 1 gold each, because the price is dramatically going to decrease. Put smaller stacks so you don't get hit with auction house fees. Put a 10 stack of lilies, put them at 1 gold if that's the cheapest price out there. You always want to make sure that you are the cheapest lily out there, and you always want to undercut by 1 copper. So if someone has it for 97 silver, put your lily up there for 96 silver and 99 copper. Alright, on to number 2. So trees, logs, anything to do with logs and lumber is going to be incredibly expensive at the launch of a new server. This is also a way that you can get a thunderstruck tree as well, which is going to be one of the most expensive items in the game for probably the first 2 to 3 months. So in the wild, there are a lot of trees, not as many as before, which is going to increase the price of the logs during the initial first period of the game. And the fact that you cannot build any land for the first 4 days means that there's very few unprotected trees. Something I highly recommend, though, is that you can plant 5 trees in the public farms. So there's a whole bunch of trees. A lot of them you can actually purchase just for silver from the vendor. Some of them you do have to purchase with vocation badges. For the vendor price, I would definitely recommend going after the popular trees. The popular trees only cost 10 silver to plant. They're fairly small. They take 12 hours to grow, and they're a tropical plant, if I remember correctly. Nope, they say all climate here. So popular is a pretty good tree. It gives you a decent yield of logs, and it doesn't take very long. In the public farms, you're going to have 3 days protection there. So you're going to want to chop the thing down, and then plant new trees. You can just keep doing that over and over again. Every time you plant something new, it's going to be protected for 3 days. So make sure that you grab your public farm spots and plant your trees if you think that's going to be the most expensive item in the game in the beginning of the servers. I do think trees and logs will be the most expensive thing in the beginning of the server. So grab those, put them in public farms. You can also do illegal tree farms out in the wild, and with the crime system being changed and very punishing to anyone that steals crops, with jail times being really long, it might be very profitable just to plant a huge wild tree farm, and some of them will get stolen, but you'll get most of them because people won't be able to steal everything. And if they do, they're going to be stuck in jail for, hours upon hours. And then that will allow you to progress further on. So maybe do batches, do like a hidden tree farm of like 30 here for the beginning of the server, and then like an hour later do another hidden tree farm of like 50 in this other location, and then do another hidden tree farm of like 50 in another location. So just in case someone does steal all of one batch of your trees, that person most likely will be in jail by the time the second batch of your trees becomes harvestable. And yeah, I mean, there's going to be thieves out there, but they're going to be stuck in jail after the first couple days. So illegal tree farms is definitely going to be very, very profitable. And yeah, something you definitely want to think about. All right, number 3, the third item that is going to be very expensive at the launch and for the first couple days is the banana. So banana is a tree. You're going to have to buy this for 15 silver. And it's going to harvest 2 to 4 bananas every 14 hours and 18 minutes. It takes 1 day and 2 hours to grow for the very first time. So this is not really a great item to put in a public farm, because it's only protected for 3 days, and you're going to get 1 harvest for 1 day and 2 hours if you time it perfectly, and then you'll end up getting about 4 to 5 more harvests before it becomes stealable and free-for-all, and then people just chop it down and it dies. It is quite expensive, 15 silver. It's a little bit pricey compared to other things, and you're not going to get many bananas. The bananas will be very expensive because you need them for your large scarecrow quest. So once you get to level 50, you're able to unlock this scarecrow quest. If you're on the east side, that requires bananas. I believe you need 15 bananas, if I remember correctly, for this quest. So that's a good chunk of bananas. You can see that's going to be at least 4 harvests if you get lucky and get 4 bananas in every harvest. But generally, you're going to need about 6 harvests probably to get all those bananas. And everyone on the east is going to be doing this quest to get their large scarecrow. So yeah, banana is going to be quite valuable for the first couple days when there's no protected land, and bananas would just get chopped down out in the wild most likely. So bananas, it's a high risk, high reward type thing. I could see bananas selling for a gold or 2 each, but even then it takes a long time to grow. But definitely something to think about. Bananas, they also grow in tropical lands, which will speed up the growth time, and that's something you really want to factor in. You definitely want to plant it in a tropical place, especially if you're doing it in a public farm. That might be able to get you the first grow time down to about 23 hours, and then the reharvest time around down to 12 hours, which might be able to sneak in an extra harvest if you didn't plant it in the correct tropical zone. All right. Number 4. So just like I talked about the East having a trade pack quest, the West has a trade pack quest at level 50, and it requires wool. It only requires 10 wool, which is lower than the East is, I believe, 15 on bananas. And wool is actually easier to get, but it's more expensive to produce. So wool, you're going to need to plant down lambs, and lambs have a long grow time as well. And then you're going to need to feed it combined feed. Combined feed can be purchased from the vendor for 40 silver. So it's purchased from the husbandry vendor, the one that's got all the animals like the sheep. So lamb has a buy price of 1 gold. So again, very expensive. And then you need the combined feed to actually feed it. Combined feed costs 40 silver from the vendor. So it's really expensive, really pricey, a lot of investment. On the plus side, you do end up getting around 18 of the wool from a lamb, so you don't really need to plant a lot of lambs to make this worthwhile. You can plant 1 lamb and it's going to mature in 14 hours and 18 minutes, and then you can shear it every 8 hours. So what you could do is you could split up your public farm, because this is a better thing to grow in the public farm than the bananas, for example. You can put down 4 trees and 1 lamb in a public farm, and then you could shear this every 8 hours. And then you'll have enough wool for sure, and you'll be able to sell some of the extra wool to generate some of your money back for the cost of buying the lamb and then also buying the combined feed. These animals can die of sickness and stuff, and if that happens, you just, you lost the animal, you lost the ability to harvest it. So hopefully you don't get that lucky. You can also butcher the animal too, which is going to be good. That's going to get you pelts. Pelts are very important, so lambs have a dual purpose. And pelts is actually number 5 on what is going to be very expensive. Pelts are used to make leather. So lamb is a dual purpose material item to find in the world, because you can find some lambs out in the world, or you can also grow them yourself, or maybe just try and hide some lambs out in the wild. Lambs are a little bit easier to hide because they're smaller. You can put them in bushes and stuff, and hidden components in areas, whereas trees are going to grow so big that people are going to see the trees and they're going to come and steal your trees for 100% fact. But lambs, on the other hand, you might be able to get away and hide them. They might be sneaky enough to do that. Alright guys, so like I said, the last one is pelts. Pelts are from all kinds of animals, livestock that you just murder and kill. You butcher them. They spend a lot of labor. The animals themselves are very expensive. As you can see, a lamb here costs 1 gold to buy, and then you're going to have to feed it, combined feed, and then you're going to butcher it. You're going to want to butcher it after it's been fed, because if you butcher it before it's been fed, you're only going to get 1 pelt, and 1 pelt for 1 gold, and yeah, is not worth it. 1 gold and all this time that you spent growing your animal, definitely not worth it. So pelts are going to be expensive, but they're not going to be like 1 gold. They might be like 50 to 75 silver. So you do want to grab pelts. Probably the best thing for pelts is turkeys. Turkey chickens are very cheap. They're approximately 12 silver to buy from the vendor. And they only take around 5 hours, 43 minutes to grow. And if you put them in temperate, that's going to go down probably around about 4 hours or so. The fodder needed for them is ground grain. So you need to feed them ground grain to make them happy, make them plump, so you can murder them and butcher them. Ground grain is actually very, very simple and easy to get. It's just any of the grains out in the wild, like wheat, barley, etc. Any of those grains will give you ground grain when you collect them and then convert them into ground grain. So very, very simple, very easy. You're going to get 4 to 5 pelts on average. You're also going to get turkey meat. Turkey meat probably won't be very viable in the very beginning of the game, but it helps you, have extra income. It gives you more things. Pelts will be pretty expensive. It's only going to cost 1 labor, 1 ground grain to feed the livestock, and then it's going to cost you 15 labor to butcher the livestock, and that gives you 1 piece of meat if it's not full, if it's not fed. And yeah, so there's 5 things right there. We're going to do a bonus one real quick. Ground grain. Any of the ground grains are going to be very, very effective at the beginning of the server. They're going to be needed for the Westis trade pack quest. You need 300 ground grain. You're also going to be using it for livestock. And there's also quite a few of ground grain things out in the world, like barley, rice, and oats, and beans, etc. So these items are very easy to find out in the wild, and they produce a good amount of ground grain when they are converted. And they should be fairly cheap, but that's deceptive, because when you harvest these things, you're going to get specialty items as well. About 1 in every 50 or so, you'll get, I forget what the specialty item is, which will bring the price up. It's not a royal seed, I don't believe, on these. You'll get hay bales. I know you get hay bales for doing this, which is a very nice item, and on old servers sold for 30 to 40 silver each. So yeah, they're very cheap and efficient. Out in the wild, you can find these kind of plants, and they're generally about 1 labor point to harvest, and you'll end up getting like 3 to 5 barley when you harvest them or so. So it's very efficient, very good, very quick, very easy. These plants also grow really quick. So barley, I believe, is like things like that. It's 43 minutes to grow time. Ideally, it's 30 minutes. You can golden bar, you can hay bale. So yeah, bonus item. Any of the ground grains you're definitely going to want to get. So pretty much when you're out in the world, look for any harvestables out in the world that you did not have to purchase that are free. Those right there will be very efficient for making money early on in the server, because literally every crop is going to be needed. There are a few that are not needed at all, but generally speaking, if you just harvest anything you can that's public, you're going to be making a good amount of money. But these are the top 5 things that you should definitely be on the lookout, in my opinion, for at the beginning of the server. And thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I will talk to you guys later.